In this video, I'm gonna break down the official Senate resume template that they want you to use towards landing internships in Congress. Why am I doing this? 4 years ago, I was in your shoes. I was looking to land an internship in Congress, and through the assistance of different people in my life, I found it beneficial to follow a template, to follow a guide, to get that assistance needed towards applying towards that internship that I eventually obtained, and now I work for my dream government agency at the moment. This internship unlocks so many doors for me, and I want to help the next generation of students do the same. Whether you have the connections, whether you have the resources, this video is going to help you to at the very least get a resume draft in and perhaps submit your application. And this is not coming from me, it's coming from the primary source, the US Senate Employment Office, that you can see here. And yes, this is a resource that's available to everybody in PDF format that you can access. I'll leave the link in below so you can access it as well after the video is over. But this, on the 11th page, you can see the specific draft that they want for interns to submit for Senate positions. Now, this applies to Senate, U.S. House of Representatives, Capitol Hill internships, or any internships in general. For this video specifically, I'll be focusing more on congressional internships. That's what I'm focusing on. If you need any extra help when it comes to landing these internships, I'm creating the biggest online community for students, first generation Hispanic students that are looking to get their footing in the door to the government, that don't have any connections, maybe don't have the financial resources. Click the first link in the description. We'll see if you're a good fit towards working with me step by step. Nonetheless, I'm going to break down today a 3-step framework as to how you can use this template, why they wrote it the way they did, why it's structured the way it did, so you can put it into practice and submit your application, right? So there are 3 steps to submitting a resume. There are 3 steps to drafting a resume. At the very first thing is the structure. The second thing is the bullet points. And the third thing is a relation to the job description. So I'm going to break down how this template can help you towards drafting your very own resume. The very first thing is the structure. In this specific example, they're using Benjamin Hill, whoever that is. Anyways, the structure is how the margins are lined up. You want to use a 0.5 inch margin. That's the standard for a resume. You don't question it, you don't overdo it, you don't change it crazy. You want it to be simple. Same as the font. The font is simple. Times New Roman, Calibri. These are the kind of fonts you want to use. 12 font, 11 font, 10 font. These are the kind of fonts you want to use. Something consistent that you can see throughout your resume. The only thing that you may want it to be a higher font is the name at the top. Your specific name. The rest should be the same font, consistent and simple. When you think of somebody attaining the top internships, you may not think the resume is this simple, but you can overthink it because people in Congress are reviewing resumes every single day, and they're spending an average 6 to 7 seconds reviewing your resume, and you want to make sure that you don't stand out for the wrong reasons, whether it's having colors on your resume, whether it's having photos, whether it's having different font sizes. That's going to distract the person from what matters most, and that is your experience. So I'm here to tell you to keep the structure simple. Keep the margins at a standard size, the font at a standard size, and a consistent font name for the consistent document. My favorite is Times New Roman. You can use that as well, but the very standard ones, that's what you want to stick with for the entirety of your resume. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is the bullet points, because this is where the substance gets to your resume, right? So you have your education, you have your experience, you have your leadership roles. You want to make sure these are in chronological order. And once you have a framework towards what your experiences are, what you want to highlight, then you want to get into the bullet points, the meat and potatoes of your resume, because this is what's going to help you stand out against everyone else that are looking to land these internships with these specific tips. So the very first thing I want you to know is metrics. This is a word I want you to memorize when it comes to resume. Metrics. What are metrics? Metrics are numbers. Metrics are quantifiable things. They can be amount of people called, amount of people helped, people you've trained. It could be page numbers. It could be a timeline. How long it took you to do something, hourly, daily, monthly. It's anything that's quantifiable. And why is that the case? First of all, visually speaking, when you see numbers, you gravitate towards it. I'm sure when you see this resume, you gravitate probably towards the GPA. When you see this resume, you probably gravitate towards a dollar sign. You probably gravitate towards this, towards the year. These are all things that will help the recruiter navigate towards what's important. Otherwise, even though this resume didn't go as detailed as I would have wanted to personally, otherwise, it's going to look like a job description. Anything that you've done in the past, you don't want it to look like a direct copy and paste of a job description. You want to make sure that it is specific towards what you accomplished. It doesn't mean you had to innovate anything, you had to create a project, you had to pioneer through different things to actually land that opportunity. It just means that you can quantify what you've achieved. You can estimate. For example, the framework you want to follow is accomplished X measured by Y doing Z. So it's like accomplished 15 phone calls a day by being the front desk person doing, customer service, right? Something like that. And this doesn't have to be rocket science. I just talked about phone calls. But if you quantify the phone calls, then you realize there are much more things on your resume that you can quantify. Quantify your phone calls, you can quantify the page numbers of a research project you had, you can quantify the amount of people you helped. Let me get back here. And this will help you to stand out on your resume. At the very least, you want to have 80% of your bullet points showcase some sort of metric, some sort of number, so it can stand out to recruiters. If you don't know what to write, ask who you worked with. What did you do? How many times you did it? Why did you do it? And then there you're going to be able to brainstorm what are some things that you can quantify so you can do it at the very least. So for bullet points, metrics. That is the most important thing that you want to have for these experiences. Now, a rookie mistake that I see a lot of students make, since you're constantly flipping through extracurriculars, you try things, you end internships, you move forward, you want to make sure that your verbs, not adjectives, your verbs that you're utilizing for each bullet point are correct to the past or present tense. Most people will go through a resume, they finish their experience, and they'll forget that their past experience is still in present tense. You want to make sure it's like conducted, did this, knocked this, recruited this, because that will showcase that this is a past experience, and it's just a purely grammatical thing that people will know that if you ended the internship, then that is something that is clearly going to be a silly mistake. It's not going to be something that confuses them, but it will be something that they will question about your review process. They will question about your writing skills, and you don't want that to be something that hinders you in the application process. So that is why you want to make sure you get that corrected before you submit your application, so that that's not something they hold against you. Now, the very last thing, most importantly, of all of this that I've told, is you want to relate everything to the job description. At the end of the day, this is a means to an end. You are applying to a specific internship opportunity that will require certain skills and abilities. And no, it does not mean you have had to have interacted with constituents in the past or voters or something politically related. In this specific experience, they're highlighting someone that did, but doesn't necessarily have to be. What you want to do is in the website of the congressman, you usually have an idea of what it is that they're looking for in somebody, in the job description, right? They're going to say someone who's organized with filing, someone who's organized with corresponding mail, someone's organized with speaking to people because you're going to have to conduct tours, you're going to have to conduct phone calls, someone's good at research because you're going to have to do memos. So it doesn't mean you have to have had done what's in the job description, but get a general gist of the speaking skills that they're asking for, the writing skills they're asking for, right? The interpersonal relationships that you need to build to be in these positions, and your ability to adapt in a high pressure environment. Those are the kind of things that you want to highlight on your resume. And like I said, it doesn't have to be specifically related. Like maybe, here they say they're a finance intern, or they are a shift manager at a restaurant. There are a lot of experiences that even if they don't correlate, they will be able to showcase and highlight that you were able to showcase your skills and abilities that will succeed in that internship. This is a competitive environment. It's not just enough to just be a student, high achieving. You want to make sure that's showcased and proven on your resume, which is why I made this video. It's not clear cut. It's not always exemplified in other things that you want to be doing. And what better way to do this than looking at the very specific resume template that the U.S. Senate provides for us, the public, to look at. Most people will not look at this, and I doubt you will find any other YouTube video on the internet that's breaking down this specific resume. So if it's something you're interested, you want further breakdown. You know what, Brian? I've done this before. I honestly don't really know. I want a resume review. I want somebody to look through it. You want to work with me one-on-one. Click the first link in the description. I'm building the biggest online community for students landing internships, and I want to see how I could help you. It doesn't have to be that we work on one-on-one, but there are a lot of resources that I have explaining step by step how you can apply. It may not be this part of the process. It could be the interview. It could be the cover letter. It could be financial resources that you lack towards landing these internships, and I want to help you get there. Otherwise, follow this 3-step framework: structure, bullets, and relation to position, and you'll see success in your application towards your next congressional opportunity. Without further ado, I'll see you next video.